Why does everything fall apart before we go into alignment in our lifetime? Why does everything fall apart? If you don't know me, my name's Deborah. I'm a transformational healer and coach. And I have gone through this in the last 3 years, and I'll share my story. But I have heard different versions of this from other coaches and spiritual speakers, and they have talked about this period of time where the old version has to go and the new version of you comes in. But my take on it is a little bit different because when I've listened to other speakers, most of them talk about circumstances as if they have no control over those circumstances. You're in control at all times from your soul, not your little body mind. The body mind is always trying to control, trying to get approval, trying to get security. It's the soul that's always in control. So when I trace back 3 years ago, what the decisions that I made and how everything started to fall apart at that point and where I'm at now, I can clearly see that I created all of it. Because whatever we think and feel is what we are experiencing out there. There's nothing out there but sum total of our thinkingness, and that's from Lester Levinson. And when I first heard that, I had to really marinate on it, really think about it. See, we're not a victim at all to any of our circumstances. We are creating at every moment. That can be for another video. But what I want to talk about is in my case, 3 years ago, I made some decisions that were not in alignment with where my soul was going. And now that I look back, and when I was in those circumstances, I knew in my heart, my soul, that this wasn't the road to go. And so what happened was all of those circumstances fell apart, and then I ended up where I'm at now. But to get to that point was, I call almost like a dark night of the soul, but it's also a cocoon period. And I don't think I'm completely out of it, but I'm mostly out of it. And it's you start to really review everything in your life. And especially in the last year of my life, it has been incredible. I could not have made up some of the or planned some of the circumstances that appeared. And then I got the lesson, I got the understanding. And I don't know how to explain it, but you feel it and you know that you have changed, that you have shifted. And then this is where you go into a new time, you quantum leap into a new timeline. And for me, I have been a photographer for 25 years. And I always knew that I was going to be doing this work in the live into it realm, coaching, healing, but I never knew how to do it, and I didn't know when, and I had a lot of resistance to it, especially when I was younger. But I just always knew this was my purpose. But because I had the resistance, it was showing up where I wasn't in alignment. And so I had to let go of the old version of myself, which was not easy to do. And I'm still in the process, but I would say I've gotten through the majority of it, because now the fulfillment that I feel, the happiness that I feel, the contentment and peace that I feel is so much better and different. So what happens when you're going through this, relationships crumble, and sometimes friendships also crumble. And it doesn't mean that all of them do, but some of them will fall away. Careers start to shift. That's what's happened to me with being a photographer. It doesn't mean that I still don't love the craft and love what I do, but things were shifting so much in that realm because it wasn't because of any circumstances out there that was against me. It was me creating a different life. And sometimes our little ego self isn't conscious of it so much. Sometimes, again, sometimes it feels like we're being a victim of the universe. And it's easy to fall into victimhood and to say, why is this all happening? But it's really our own creation. And also, when we feel like things are being pulled away from our lives, it could feel like rejection, but it's not rejection, it's redirection. But it's not easy to go through that emotionally, let me tell you. The cocoon stage is very uncomfortable, very unsettling, because what happens is our habit are the ones that have not served us or maybe have helped us survive, but no longer apply anymore to this new version that we're going into. They'll try to hold on, or you'll be clinging on to them and kind of negotiating, still wanting those habits around, even though you know that they're not good for you. So anything like drinking, watching TV, doom scrolling, eating too much, whatever it is, those habits will be holding very tightly, have a tight grip. Um, and then your nervous system feels like you're in danger because you're going into the unknown. And it's really exciting, but it's also very unsettling. So, again, you're not being a victim. You are getting aligned with your highest self, with your purpose. And it is, in my case, doing the healing work, coaching people, helping them to release blocks, which is what I've been doing myself for many years. You For me, I really have gotten just so much fulfillment and happiness and joy from doing this fulfilling work instead of the old version who was accepting way less than I deserved. So, in more ways than one. And I've talked a little bit about my past relationship, and the way you do one thing is the way you handle everything. Because if you are breadcrumbing your in relationships, you're breadcrumbing yourself in every other area of your life. And especially if you've had a lot of trauma growing up, it's hard to navigate when you're older as an adult to let go of those stories, those traumas. And that's what I help people with. It is releasing those stories and identification with those stories, believing, oh, that was Deborah, the body mind that had the father that wasn't emotionally available and got it. It doesn't, I'm not discounting it and I'm not pushing it down. It's just that when I do the work of releasing on myself, I welcome those thoughts and feelings, but I release them so that I'm not identified. Now, I'll tell the story to all of you so that you can relate and understand, but to hold on to those stories is suffering. And so releasing those stories is freedom. So, what's going on with letting go of this old timeline is you're stepping into freedom. You're stepping into your soul. You're stepping into alignment with your soul. And that brings happiness and freedom. It's all about freedom. Releasing is all about freedom. Yes, you can release for anything that you want to manifest: a new car, a house, a new partner, health, wealth, whatever it is. But really, what you're ultimately releasing for is total freedom and happiness and not being bound by this body mind and these stories and the trauma that we hold on to in the body and cause disease and all that stuff. So it's easier than done. It's simple, but it's easier said than done. So it's incredible to go through this cocoon stage, to get into alignment, to release what no longer serves you. And it's like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. If people want to change and want to grow, and to me, this is the fastest way, is release work. And so this is what happens. Going back to topic of why does everything fall apart before alignment? You're creating it the whole time. You're not a victim. And if you really look at it, investigate it, you'll see, oh my God, I made a decision about this person. Or maybe a relationship fell apart because deep down you knew it wasn't in alignment. But on the outside, you're like, no, I wanted it to work. I wanted it to be this way, but it dissolves. And that's one example. It could be a career that you just don't want to do anymore. For me, I love being a photographer, and I still use those skills, but it's just, it was time for change. It was time for me to step into this particular career that is in alignment totally. I live, eat, breathe this stuff. I sit with my teacher all the time, my spiritual teacher. I have a guru. I meditate. I work with others to help to release what's in the way for them so that they can have a healthier body, a healthier mind, a healthier soul. It just, I've gone through so many things. I could do stand up comedy with some of the stuff that I've gone through and write a book. And maybe I will. So I hope you got something out of this. And if you would like to book a session with me, I will put that in the description. I hope you like and subscribe. I'm also having a healing night. I had to reschedule it, but it is on June 7th, Sunday, June 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'll put the link in there for you to sign up. It's going to be amazing on Zoom. That's it, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you are.